The leth, commonly translated as Sword of Honor, is a unique weapon that is among the most recognized symbols of the Klingon Empire. In a culture rich with brutal bladed weapons, the leth is considered one of the most common in the Klingon arsenal, and has endured as a prominent cultural symbol since as early as the 9th century, when the very first leth was wielded by the revered warrior king Kahless, who used this weapon to strike down the tyrant Malor, ushering in a new era of unity and honor for the Klingon Empire. The legend of the forging of the first leth was known only to the high clerics of the Boreth Monastery, located on the planet where it was believed that Kahless would return after leaving this life in the 9th century. Preserved only as an oral tradition, this legend would be used as a test to authenticate the identity of the returned Kahless. The legend stated that Kahless forged the blade from a lock of his own hair, after thrusting it into the molten rock of the volcano at Christach and plunging it into the lake of Lusor. Kahless was said to have twisted this lock of hair into a blade, which he called the leth. Although this legend was unknown to the general public, the association between Kahless and the leth and the importance of the Sword of Kahless were not lost on Klingon culture. Indeed, the basic shape of the original Sword of Kahless was preserved in extant leth designs as late as the 23rd century and beyond, and the discovery of the lost Sword of Kahless was a coveted pursuit well into the 24th century. The modern form of the leth was evidently known as a warrior's configuration and was found relatively unchanged in all walks of Klingon life. Worf's leth, indistinguishable from other contemporary designs, was said to be in his family for 10 generations, which suggests that this particular design dates back hundreds of years, a fact corroborated by evidence showing that Klingon marauders in the 2150s were using this design as well. Variants of the leth also existed, as another leth in Worf's possession used a similar blade shape but had an exposed and considerably wider center grip. Now, it's not clear if other alternative leth configurations were in common use at any point, but evidence from parallel universes shows at least one other variety of leth design that could suggest that variants existed in the Prime universe as well. Indeed, the badge awarded to warriors admitted to the Order of the leth depicts a leth with a slightly different design from the standard, and while the visual evidence is somewhat muddied by modern artistic interpretations, it's also possible that some Klingons during the 2250s were using an unusual variety of leth, with blades curving in an opposite direction from the standard. A more traditional artistic interpretation of this unconventional design can bring it more closely in line with existing variants, though it still cuts an unusual profile. While the leth is commonly translated and described as a sword, it would seem that this translation is a misnomer that somewhat misinforms us as to its use. Held with two hands perpendicular to one center line, the use of the leth shares more similarities with a staff from a functional combat standpoint. But unlike a staff, which has the advantage of being effective from a relatively long range compared to a sword, the leth virtually forces its user into extreme close combat. Now, the leth does appear to have strong defensive capability, allowing for powerful two-handed blocks and parries, which might somewhat offset its disadvantage in range over more conventional bladed weapons. But this particular shortcoming of the leth might actually appeal to Klingons, as it reinforces the philosophy that drives so many Klingon warriors to use incredibly obsolete bladed weapons in the first place. But for a culture for which victory, even unscrupulous victory, is honor, it does seem a bit impractical. Some clearly shared this sentiment, and others found that there were weapons in the Klingon arsenal like the leth that were at least equally effective. Furthermore, even given the widespread use of leths, some Klingon warriors still appear to prefer more conventional swords. Nevertheless, the leth was widely feared for its brutal reputation and respected for its elegant design. The leth is a really interesting weapon, and I'd love to do more on it. I'm thinking maybe an experimental video where we explore the real-life practicality or impracticality of the weapon in real hand-to-hand tests. So if you'd like to see something like that, let me know. And with that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.